Alright guys, it is time. Since I have played through a Rise base game and the Sunbreak DLC, it's about time that I've done myself a Monster Hunter Rise plus Sunbreak tier list. This is going to be for the large monsters only, and I'm going to hurry up and get into this because if this takes about 30 seconds per monster, then that is going to be a 30-minute video already. So drop a like for me, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. But all right, here we go. Large monster tier list. I'll let you guys know when the last monster is before the Sunbreak monster starts showing up here. So so you don't get spoiled early if you don't want to. But you know, there's going to be spoilers because I've obviously got to talk about some of the fights here. This is going to be my opinion. Don't get offended if your favorite monster is trash tier. So I guess we should start off with our basic boys. We got Izuchi. I personally think Izuchi's probably my favorite of the very small wyverns. It's got a certain aesthetic to it. I can't exactly explain it, but I would rate it above the other ones. But that said, you know, it is kind of an early game monster. It's kind of, you know, not really looked at as a fight that you want to really get into. So I'm gonna put it at a C. And then Boggy and Roggy, I'm going to put as D tier under that. Thankfully, we have some very similar monsters we can talk about. You know, Izuchi's got the spit attacks. Those spit attacks turn into poison from Roggy. And then we have sleep attacks from Boggy. But yeah, I'd probably put them about like this. You know, they're the early game stuff slash, you know, the low master rank stuff. Then we got some other similar ones. We got Azuros, which honestly, it's a great touch when he does a particular attack. I think it might be only in Master Rank, I'm not entirely sure, but he steals your honey and then just sits there and eats it for a while. That's pretty cool. Love that about him. Gonna stack him up a little bit higher. And then we've got Apex Arzuros, which is literally Arzuros, but and a little bit of steroids. Honestly, I don't think I would go so far as to give it an A. I think, you know, I think it deserves a B. The only real difference here is that it gets, you know, a little bit extra threatening here. I'm also like half forgetting between Apex and Anomalies, like how different those are. But yeah, I'll probably throw him just still on the same tier as regular. And then we have Lagombe. I love saying it that way. Honestly, not a super impressive monster. I don't know if I would give it an F, but you know, it's basically just a snowball version of the bear, but is a rabbit. But it's not, I don't know, it just doesn't tickle me in the same way as Arzuros does. Honestly, I might even, yeah, I'll give it a D. Honestly, not a super impressive monster. All right, and then we have Kulu. Kulu, love the evolution of what items it holds. Honestly, that's pretty good design. You know, you have it like a cracked vase at first, then it turns into an, or is it an egg at some point? Can't really remember. But then it just turns into a rock. So, you know, as you get into the higher ranks, it's much harder to break. So honestly, love that about his design. Probably still on a B tier. Probably not going up further than that for some of these weaker monsters, except for maybe Octosom. I love Octosom. Octosom is just honestly awesome. I'm going to give it an A for awesome / A for Octosom. Definitely gives you a bit of like a more realistic Moltres vibe, you know, and I love that. I love that. Let's deal with some of the more early game stuff. Pukey, maybe like a high C. It kind of reminds me of Cell, you know, from DBZ, at least the way its tail's designed. But, you know, other than that, nothing super noteworthy about Pukey. Tetranodon, it's a fat frog. If I'm being honest, it's probably one of the more unique monsters. Nothing really copies it. Probably rank it above Pukey. These are monsters that, you know, I guess I'd be more likely to fight because I like their fights. I guess these are just like, I'm not really impressed with their fights kind of thing. All right, I grabbed a few more here. We've got Volvidon. Volvidon is very similar to Lagombe and Arzuros. Very similar. It just farts on you. F for farts. Is this the only thing in the game that gives you the stink status? Granted, that doesn't mean it's the only use for deodorant, because I think it cures like Hellfire Blight and stuff like that too. I just don't understand how being stinky, being so hilariously stinky that you can't do stuff. I don't understand how this is like, you know, an actual mechanic. Tobikidachi, very beautiful monster, and it's somewhat unique in its fighting mechanics, similar to Pteranodon. I'd honestly probably put it in an A. You know, I do like me some Tobikidachi. Definitely got more of its own flavor to its attacks than, you know, some of these other guys that we've already gone over. Then we got Bishaden. Bishaden is also a pretty good one. I love how it's, you know, it whips out various fruits of, you know, different ailments. It doesn't have to straight up have its own ailment. It just works with other things within the game. One of the only monsters that can flash bomb. I don't even know if I put this as an S. To be honest, I don't really know. I don't know. I'll keep it in an A, probably above Acnosum. Next up we got Gyrototus. Gyrototus, I gotta be honest, sometimes I forget this walking fish exists. Honestly, I think I gotta put Gyrototus as an F, man. It's a very, very basic monster. Muck isn't a great mechanic, if I'm being honest either. Barely interact with it. I think I'm obligated to put Kazu as an F. I think everyone is in mutual agreement that Kazu is just kind of a whack monster. On the opposite end of the spectrum, though, you know, Capcom was brave for making this monster as a flying schlong. He screams too much. You know, you gotta like bring earplugs to this guy. So yeah, I'm probably gonna have to give Kazu an obligatory F. Anjanath. Anjanath is probably cooler than these guys. I don't know if I put it an A tier. Baroth. I'm gonna have to give Baroth a D, dog. What would I akin this to? There's a Pokemon that's very, very similar to Baroth. This is gonna bug me too much. I gotta look it up. Bastiodon? Yes, Bastiodon. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a Bastiodon, and Bastiodon's just kind of Barioth. He doesn't have super original movesets, right? He's probably in a C tier. He's a little cooler than Baroth and these guys, but Ludroth, a monstrous sponge. You know, kind of like Elder Guardians in Minecraft and whatnot. He's a C or a D. I don't know. He's kind of similar to Pukey. Probably have to go like this. It's an average monster. I wouldn't say he's crazy good, but he's not crazy bad. Rathian. Rathian absolutely underwhelmed me when I first saw it. Like, it seemed like it was going to be a real badass, but it ended up just kind of underwhelming me. That said, I still think it's not bad. I feel like Rathian's still cool in its own respect, so I'll put it in a B tier. Rathalos, pretty similar. So I guess minus points for that. Probably do that. Honestly, not crazy cooler than Rathian, but I would say cooler than Rathian, you know? Basarios. Basarios is incredibly underwhelming. Is it an F? It's a walking rock and is very ugly. Somnicanth. Somnicanth, I would say, is pretty cool. I don't know. It's not bad, but it's not like amazing. I don't know. I'll say it's like cooler than Rathian. Goss. Gossarag, way cooler than any of these. Honestly, the best bear variant for sure. Gotta be an A tier. Gotta be a high A tier though. Because Goss Ice Blades for hands, you know, that's awesome. Goss is awesome. So at this point, you know, if you haven't played through all of the base game, you're gonna start seeing some Elder Dragons here, or some very late game of the base game. Mizutsune, probably a low A, high B. Honestly, pretty cool, bubbly. I'm like eeny meeny miny mo at this point. I like have a general direction of where they're going. Nargacuga. I don't know. We might be feeling... Do we have to put Nargacuga at the top because of bias of how long you grind the thing? I don't know if I can put it... I don't know if I could find it in my heart to still put it at an S, though. I like the Midnight Black vibe that it has going on. I don't know. Goss has to be cooler than it, though. Narga is the coolest of, you know, like, these Basarios level things, I would say, but... I don't know if they're S's. Actually, they're S's. Never mind. Almudron. Almudron's pretty good, pretty cool. And these guys, I gotta give my props to Almudron. I tend to not fight him. I tend to shy a little bit away from him, because sometimes he can still be scary, you know? You don't know what his tail's doing, though. Diablos, honestly, even though it's like, you know, devil incarnate or whatever, honestly, he's kind of boring beyond that, you know? Honestly, he's pretty boring, if I had to say. He's just a big flying ram charger. Gotta be a B, probably cooler than these guys. Yeah, probably like that. I don't know. He's kind of mid. Let's do Tigrex here. Tigrex, kind of interesting that, you know, he's got a damaging roar. There's another monster later on that, like, sometimes the roar damages. I can't even, like, figure out why it damages or not. Cooler than these. I think Bear just stays up because he's cuddly. Rajang. He's a monkey. He's got like a Kamehameha blast from his mouth. I'll throw him in A. I don't know how much cooler he would be than the other guys here, but I'll throw him in an A. Arachnid. Big spider. It uses the little spiders to its advantage. Pretty good. Pretty solid. Probably gonna demote Kulu to Tranodon to C tier, now that I think about it here. Now that I'm trying to spread out the tiers a little bit. But yeah, big mama spider controlling all the little spiders. Pretty interesting fight. Basilguise. He's definitely lower tier of like the end game monsters, I would say. Of like the high ranks, he's probably a lower tier. He's just not as interesting, I would think, as the other guys. Yeah, here we go. Magnamalo. I feel like you gotta obligatory put Magnamalo as an S. Did a great job of presenting him as, you know, this demon presence that is just going to murder you on your hunts. And honestly, is a really scary fight even when you get late game. So after this point, we're going to start seeing some of these Sunbreak monsters pop up in here. If you haven't played Sunbreak yet, then you might want to like avert your eyes from the bottom here, but it's been a few weeks. You know, if you're watching Monster Hunter content, you've probably been spoiled by this anyway, so Ibushi and Narwa, I think, are pretty on the same playing field. I would say Narwa's probably a little bit cooler. These are some of like the bigger monsters in the game. I don't know. Do I throw Ibushi at B and then Narwa at A? I'll throw Ibushi, Narwa, All Mother Narwa. You know, we're basically like that. Zinogre's pretty cool. Probably cooler than Narwa, but Zinogre I'd probably put like here. You know, he's not crazy. It's like what would you say? Like a gazelle type thing. Can be kind of difficult, but other than that, he's not like crazy good. All right, here we go. Elder Dragons. Not in order because I'm too lazy. Valstrax. What can I say, dude? I like dragons in general. Valstrax, definitely top tier. Chameleos, I feel like I throw an S as well, you know? Like, Chameleon, disguise himself. He's invisible like 89% of the fight of Master Rank, but, you know, he's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. Teostra. Teostra, Emperor of Flames. Probably got me for like he's probably like a Ocnosam-ish rating here, honestly. He's not like top tier in my opinion. He's just kind of good. I don't know if he lives up to. He doesn't quite live up to Valstrax's IMO. All right, Kushala. Honestly, Kushala is like the odd Elder Dragon out for me. Not quite as astonishing to me, in my opinion, as these guys are. All right, then we have the rest of the Apexes here. I don't know if any of these here just go up to a different tier. I think they just comfortably surpass their non-Apex counterparts. I don't know if any of them go up a tier because of it. If we were doing like a difficulty rating, then yes, they would absolutely go up a tier if it was solely based on difficult fights. All right, and now we are into the Sunbreak monsters. Blood Orange Bishaten. I don't know. I think he's slightly less cool than original Bishaten. Slightly. Is it tougher? Yes. Does he evolve the fight in a way? Yes. From regular Bishaten, but he actually loses more of his charm that way. He becomes, you know, just a regular fire boss. All right, the crabs. Honestly, they're probably going to get the same rating. They're very similar fights. They do have their own uniqueness about them between the two crabs. You know, it's not quite like a Hellion Pangar situation for Dauntless, but this is probably the closest Hellion Pangar situation we have here. Speaking of Hellion Pangar situations, we just got one of those on the TheMrTrails.store, the Sibling Rivalry set, an evolution of Cry's other two designs. coming together for one thing. A couple of mouse pads and a water bottle for this right now. If you're into Dauntless, might want to check out the MrTrails.store. I'm going to try to get some Monster Hunter stuff in here at some point. Don't know how far off that would be. If you use code CRYSA10, you can save 10% on anything you see from the Pangar and Hellion stuff. So might be a good time to look if you are into Dauntless at all. Should probably try to get that segue earlier in the video somehow, but you know, it was a good segue when it happened, okay? But yeah, not quite a Hellion's Pangar situation, but pretty similar to that. These guys are very, very similar movesets. I'd say they're probably a B tier. You know, they're kind of average. Aurora Somnicanth. Honestly, Aurora Somnicanth is probably a cooler fight in my opinion than regular Somnicanth. You know, there's just not as much ice. There's just not as much icy stuff in, you know, Rise at least. Seems like there's a lot more fire involved than ice. Probably better than Mizu. Garang Golem. The Golem Thick. The Thick Golem. This is an S tier, dog. Something like this. Honestly, Golem, he's thick, dog. He's real thick. Astalos, I'm kind of biased toward dragons. I think we may have established this. I'm kind of biased towards Dragon. Thunder Dragon here. Definitely, I don't know, is he cooler than Valstrax? He might be cooler than Valstrax, I'll be honest. Obviously, we're going to be banging out some S tiers once we, you know, since we're at the end game here. We have Scorned Magnamalo. I will say, I was kind of scripting a video to trash talk Scorned Magnamalo a bit. Definitely, he is cooler than, probably cooler than Golem. Good evolution to Magnamalo's fight, but my main issue with this guy is just how shit tier ranged weapons are against it. Because not only are you going to take extra damage against his attacks just because you're running a ranged weapon, but you are also going to be dealing way terrible damage against him. His damage hit zones are absolutely horrendous for ranged weapons. On top of, like, even with defense boost 7 and dragon resist, I was at like 800 something defensive rating. I was still getting one shot with ranged weapons on some of his attacks. But when I switched to melee weapon, I didn't get one shot at all with, you know, it still had to go with defense boost 7, dragon res 3, you know, for super duper high defensive rating. But the fight itself is actually cool. It's just, it's unfortunate it's kind of bogged down by, you know, just how much it one-shots you. You know, you have to run a specific build in order to not get one-shot by the thing. You know, I really dislike that from a design perspective. Gore Magala. Is it really cool A or a, you know, a cool S? And then I honestly say Gore is better than Shigaru. Gore is better than Shigaru to me. So, kind of similar with this Bishaden deal. Espinas is interesting. It's an interesting fight. One of its attacks does 3 different statuses or something. Very, you know, that's different. I know some people are very, very head over heels for Espinas, but I'm not crazy about Espinas. Seregios, I'm gonna have to do this too. Seregios pretty average. Honestly, I haven't even fought him that much just because he's that average. You know, he's not a crazy cool guy. He's not back of the class though either. Lunagarin, probably about here. I guess I'm a little biased towards the ones that are actually icy behemoths. Maybe I like Iceborne. I don't know. But Lunagarin, very cool. Love the wolf vibe. Werewolf. Magmadron. Probably cooler than Blood Orange. Pyre Rakna. I don't know if it's cooler than regular Rakna. I mean, it does get like slightly evolutionized. It's cooler than regular Rakna slightly, but I wouldn't say it's crazy cool. We're in the final stretch here. We got Geismagorm, probably cooler than Espinas, probably not as cool as a Rajang. Not quite as cool as Monkey Boy here, but you know, he's a pretty cool fight. Golden Monkey Boy. If we were to throw a difficulty rating, he'd definitely be S tier. Definitely evolves the fight with regular Rajang to the point where, you know, he's a lot more difficult. Is he an S tier though? He's got to be a low S. I feel like he's a low S if I do throw him in S here, but I'll throw him in a low S. And finally, Malzeno. He's got to be an S tier. Again, a little biased toward the dragons. You know, when you boil it down, some of these fights are pretty similar. But me personally, I think he's just cooler, and you know, it introduces the curio mechanic and then everything else steals it, sort of thing. I don't know. I think we'll throw Narga at the bottom of S, and then I think we'll have to say Lunagarin is cooler than Malzeno, but Malzeno definitely a top tier monster. But I think this is it. I think this is my tier list here. And where there are probably some inconsistencies in my rankings, yes, most probably. But can I help how I feel about these monsters? No, not really. Like, if I were to reorganize this a bit, I'd probably throw, like, you know, Rathian, Diablo C tier. The rest, all of these would probably go into D tier, actually. I don't know. I don't think I would throw Kulu that far down, though. I don't think I would want to throw Kulu that far down. You know, so I don't know, something like this. It's not exactly 100% in order, but these are around the ranges where I would praise the monsters. But yeah, this is basically it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a like for me. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Do Monster Hunter and Dauntless related stuff all the time. But that'll be it from me, guys. I have been Trevor. I go by the Mr. Trails, and I will catch you guys next time.